of all this year should be in the schus of somebody that's very close to me, and Shabbat Shleimo, from Mordechai Ben Leo. Ari Hakadosh עצמי בשיחה זו, כל תקנקים של רעים, כל תקנקים של חייב קדוש, שתוצאים מפת Rebbe Nachman צדיק יסוד לא ילום מחבים כל חבורה Rebbe Nachman נצאים כל מפגס פתינות רבים כל יצאים מועמד. This week I want to talk about an idea that's pretty much one of the biggest ideas in life and in general. The paradox between the body and the soul. How do the soul and the body come together and connect when they seem to be two opposites? Now, the Bereshis Rabbah in Parsha Yudalid says like this: a person is made out of a soul and a body, which is two entities, the soul and the body. And that's why it says in the Pasuk in Bereshis, when Rebbe Nachman created it, says Vayetzer, right? When it says Vayetzer, the Gemara says also, it means it has a double lashon, and it's going on two things. And it means that the person is combined from something from the upper world to the lower world, from the lower world. Meaning the upper world is the neshama that comes down into what? The guf, which comes from the ground. Now, what we're going to be speaking about it is that it just seems, how could they coexist together? Because one is coming from such a holy place and one comes from the ground. How do they both, what's the point of both of them? What do they both give each other? And how in general do they exist together? Now, the Gemara in Chagiga says, so the Gemara in Tezayin, the Gemara in Tezayin says an amazing thing, that a person is like an angel, a malach, regarding three things. The three things that he's regarding a malach is that just like a malach speaks only Lashon Kodesh, so we speak Lashon Kodesh. Torah, it's Lashon Kodesh, it's the Hebrew language. The other thing is that just like a malach is straight, so to us, we're the only species that stand completely straight, right? We're not bent. Every animal in some sort of sense is either bent or half bent, but nothing completely straight. Also like malachim, the malachim is straight up. And the three things, what was the last one? Somebody get me a Gemara in Chagiga, please. It's right there. In the Gemara's Chagiga, you'll see it. I'll tell you the exact, the third one. I haven't seen the Gemara in a while, I apologize. The Gemara says like this. The Gemara says, let me just find it. Apologize. Oh, this is date, so I'm sorry. Chagiga Tezayin, okay. Tarabon. In a second, I apologize, that's about Shadim. Yes, Shloshek HaMalchei HaSharet. So a man is like a malach an angel in three ways. They have das, they have wisdom like a malach, they go straight, they walk straight like a malach, and the last thing is, like we just said, they masapim Lashon Kodesh. It's Gemara in Tezayin Amud Aleph and Chagiga. The three things they are, like an animal, is they eat and drink, humans eat and drink, they produce children, and the last thing is that they give waste from the food that they eat. You know, malachim, by Avraham Avinu, what does it say? Malachim, they ate the food, but it was burnt and it was consumed inside of them. Because there's no concept of food. Like we know also that Moshe Rabbeinu, when he went for 40 days, he didn't eat, because he was in love of a malach, so he didn't need the food. Food was spiritual food. We once spoke about it in a different share about what spiritual food is compared to this food and all that, and what food is. We may speak about it a little bit now. Now, what's interesting is, there's a machlekes Ramban and Ibn Ezra. In this world, on this world now that we're here, there's four worlds. In Kabbalah, there's a huge aspect, there's four worlds. It's called Abiyah. Abiyah is, Atzilus is the highest world, Bria is the second to highest, Yitzir is the third, and then our world that we're in, which is the Olam of Bechira, where we have choice and we do mitzvahs and learn Torah and choose right from wrong, is called Asiyah, doing. Now, something very important, there's a fifth world that's on top of the four worlds, that's called Odem HaKadmon, Ak. Ak is a world that when nobody even talks about it because it's so far beyond, forget about it, of course Atzilus also, but what it does is it's like a channel, it attaches the four worlds to HaShem, the Ari Sof of HaShem. Now, the point is, on this world where we're found the El Masiyah, We have an neshama, like we just said, the Bereshit Rabbah. We know that Rebbe Nachman took the neshama from Gan Eden, from where it was, put it in a body, and our job in this world is to, right, that the neshama wants the good, and the guf wants the tavot, all those things, and we go what the neshama wants. We have to. That's our bechira. We're going to get into it that it's not so pashut as we think. But that's how most people learn that it means that the neshama wants the good and the body wants the bodily lust, which is not exactly 100% true, because that's exactly what we're going to talk about now, how they coexist. But the Mesilas Yesharim, Ramchal, in Mesilas Yesharim Perek Aleph, also in his Sefer Derech Eitz Chaim, which is a sefer on pre-Eitz Chaim from the Arizal, from Reb Chaim Vital, and the Nefesh HaChaim, Reb Chaim Volozhiner, in Shar Aleph Perek Yud, and the Tanya, is all this forum that all the years Baruch Hashem I've seen that they all said the same thing. Tanya in Chelik Vov, in the first, there's a bunch of halakim in it, but in the first one with all the Tanya, the Prokim Perek Lamed Tes, they all say this one thing, that the neshama of a Jew is on this world, not in the next world after we get all the schar and that we make our tikkun that we know we have to do, we're here for a job. Even before, our neshama is greater than the level of malachim are. That's what all the svarim say. What's interesting is that the Baal Tanya says that tzaddikim come from the second to highest world, Elam HaBriya. Their neshamas come from Bria. But he says there's also like Gavriel, Michal, different malachim that also come from the second to highest world. So he says, how do you know? But he says, even in that world, there's infinite amount of levels, and the tzaddikim are on a high level of Bria. Now, what is Atzilus and all that? That's going to be in Elam Haba. We're going to go much higher than everything. We'll explain that soon, what Elam Haba is a little bit, but that's not really the point of the shir. That, like we said, we're speaking maybe next week about Gehenim, Gan Eden, Elam Haba, and all these incredible ideas. But now we're talking about how's the soul and the body. Now, what's interesting is that this itself is machlekes rishonim. That Ramban and Ibn Ezra, they have machlekes, but is the neshama on this world higher than a malachim, or if it's not higher than malachim? Obviously, in the next world, everybody agrees that after the tikkun, the neshama, why did Hashem create this world? Not for malachim, create this world for us to come to this world and to say, you know what, God, I'm going to give up on this for you. Every day we have that. That's why Hashem created this world. Hashem created this world that when you fail in your emunah, what does that mean, fail? Fail in your emunah means it's not a fail like we think it is. Failing doesn't mean that you failed completely. Fail means that at 1 second you feel. I'm saying like failing, like feel. You know what I mean? Like, it means you feel that, I'm so far from emunah, and you're machazik yourself. That's why Hashem created the world. That is the one reason why Hashem created the world. Zohar Ari Hakadosh, Rashbi says that's why Hashem created the world, to come back to Him and recognize Him. Now the point is, so all of this is showing Him, and all these achronim say that no, avad, the neshama is higher than the guf. The Nefesh HaChaim, by the way, Reb Chaim Volozhiner, he says a little different than the Ramchal and the Baal Tanya that say Pashut. He says that the Malach is greater in its wisdom and all these things in this world, in Elam Asiyah. But one thing that the Malach doesn't have like the human, which is that the Malach can't do what a human being can. A human being can connect to all the worlds, what he's doing from here. We know that how the world's connected, all the spiritual worlds, it's a shtalshalos. It means like this. If you take something from here and then you bring it down to here, right? If I take a candle and then I light another candle, this candle's still lit. That means every action that I do over here has also a reaction in the next world, as also while there's an action over here. That means to say that everything is just a chain. That is what the Mekubalim explain how all the worlds work. All the worlds work, that it's a chain of all the 4 worlds. Now, the point is that when so the Nefesh HaChaim says that when I'm on this world, everything that I do, every time I turn, for the good, if I do a good mitzvah over here, then I'm doing something, I'm combining all the worlds together because it's all one big chain. Everything is a reaction. But when I do something bad, chas v'shalom, then the opposite. So the Nefesh HaChaim says in that aspect we're greater, but the other achronim we spoke about, the Baal Tanya and the Ramchal, they say that no, the neshama in this world is greater, and that's the fact. Now, what's interesting is, Rebbe Nachman writes, has 2 torahs. Dr. the Rebbe writes in Chelik Beis Kutim Ran Torah Aleph like this, famous torah from the Rebbe, that the point of this world is that we're going to get to a place in Olam Haba, that in Olam Haba the Malachim are going to ask us, what is Hashem talking about? We see from the Rebbe, also the Rebbe is saying, right? The Rebbe is saying the whole task of the world is, that what? But the Rebbe says also on this world already you can get to that place. That means to say that the Rebbe also says that he goes to Shita, the Neshama is greater than the Malach. But he says that the Neshama is going to be so much greater in the future world, after the Tikkunim and after Olam Haba, meaning by Olam Haba and after Tchias Mit, all that, but that also has a million different shittas and Kabbalah, we'll get into it, but the point is the next world. The Rebbe says, what's the point? That we're going to go so high that Malachim are going to turn to the lowest Jew and ask them, what is Rebbe Shalom busy with right now? Malachim. Now, the question is, the Rebbe says, I had a question. The Rebbe says in Torah Chof Aleph, which is one of the most famous Torahs of Nachman, Zok the Rebbe, that what is Bechira? Bechira is something that's it's impossible to understand. The Rambam says, right, if HaShem knows what's going to be, so then how do I have free will? The second question of Bechira is, not just that, who gives me the das? Who gives me the thought in the first place? I don't think about what to think. That in itself is a thought that comes to me. It's HaShem gives me the das. Or Nachman says, how does the idea that HaShem gives us the thought work with Bechira? The answer is, he says, that's the way it is. They asked Rebbe Nachman. He says there's an answer, but we can't understand it until the next world. So they asked him, what is Bechira? He says, if you want to do, you do. If you don't want to do, you don't do. It's that simple. How it works, it doesn't matter. Because the point is there is. And that's why Hashem created the world. And that's why, obviously, in the next world, we're going to be much greater than Malachim, because Hashem created the world for us, for Am Yisrael, to break the Yetzaharas and break all the garbage that they're busy with. But the question is, the Rebbe says that in the next world, a Jew is going to come to the level of Malach that he's going to understand how Bechira works. First of all, you know why the Rebbe says we don't understand how Bechira works? Why we have Bechira? It's because we don't understand how Bechira works. But in the next world, when we don't have Bechira, it's because we don't understand how Bechira works. Understand? That's the way it works. The point why I don't understand Bechira is because I have Bechira. But if I understand how my Bechira works, then I understand what Bechira is. Zok the Rebbe, next world, I want to have Bechira like a Malach. So my question is, what do you mean? Are we going to be like a Malach or are we going to be greater? The answer is it's Pashut. When it comes to Bechira, there's no levels. There's either you understand how it works or you don't understand. The point is, in the next world, we'll understand like a Malach understands, that's it. But in levels in God, which is God is infinite, the light, the infinite light of Hashem is infinite, so that will be much greater than Malachim. Because that we're going to be in Olam Haba is not that we should understand that Tzimtzum works. Tzimtzum is that when Hashem created this world, He concealed Himself, because it can't be possible that Hashem and us are in the same place at the same time. And how that works is the same question. Nobody understands. The Rambam says, and Rebbe Nachman, nobody will understand until the next world. But it's really one thing. Because if a person understands that Hashem isn't here, but He is here, then it's all Bechira, it's all the same thing. The point is the next world will understand. But this is not a steer, I'm saying. I'm just saying, the Kutim the Rebbe says about Bechira, is something else in general. The Rebbe says, no, understand Bechira like a Mal, because it's either you understand, you don't understand. But it's not understanding the level, but understanding God. What is Olam Haba, by the way? You know what Olam Haba is? It says that tzaddikim will be sitting and looking at God. You know what that is? I know somebody personally that had a clinical death, and he went up to Shemaim, and he has a whole story on the internet. His name is Alon Anava. He's one of the most famous stories. He's a Chabadnik, known for a while. But the point is, he says over there that when he went up there, the point is, you know what it means? He says, you know what it means that you sit there. He didn't taste it because nobody tasted it. He said, no, I saw it. Olam Haba is not Gan Eden. We said about that. Gan Eden is just in between until the next world of this world, the next phase of this world. Olam Haba is the next phase of this world. But he said he understood what it means. He said that when he came up there and he touched the infinite light of Hashem, which he didn't touch anything compared to the next world, because it's going to be so much greater, he had all the information in 1 second, like a computer. What is a computer? A computer is that what? All the information. He said he touched Hashem, Kil Light, he had all the information, all the secrets of this world. Das, what does Rebbe Nachman say? What is the biggest pleasure? Knowing God. Knowing God is, what do you say? All the information he got. Now, all the information he got is nothing because God is endless. But the point is, and he said the pleasure that he had is something that's indescribable. There's no time. We'll give a different share about this. This stuff is really trippy and really deep Kabbalah aspects. But I will say one thing, that the point is, that the Rebbe was that this thing is not a steer b'chlal, and this is what the Rebbe is saying is Ein Chaim and Neshama is greater, but in Bechira is something else. Now, let's go into this. Now let's go into the question we spoke. This is unbelievable stuff. The question is like this: how does the guf and Neshama coexist? We just said that the guf, Breish Rabbi says it comes from the guf and it comes from the Neshama. The guf is from the upper world, the Neshama is from the Neshama is from the upper world, and the guf is from down here. How do they coexist? You know what the Arizal and the Baal Tanya say? The Arizal comes from the Arizal. Arizal says that this whole world, Dr. Arizal, listen, this whole world, Arizal says, is made up of spiritual sparks. The point is that they made a movie called Matrix. You know what the Matrix is? Let me explain to you what the Matrix is. It was a movie that everybody doesn't realize. It's a brilliant movie. The movie was based on two writers who were Jewish, who wrote it out of what they saw in Rajbi and from the Zohar and from the Arizal. They wrote that a person is programmed. It's true. We're programmed. What does it mean the world's programmed? This is all a facade. This is not real. There's no trees, there's no water. It's all how HaShem, what happened was, when HaShem created this world, you listening? When HaShem created this world, how did he conceal himself? Meaning, if there's too much light of HaShem, we'd be nullified to God. But we're not nullified because we have free choice. He had to conceal himself. So HaShem, how he concealed himself, it came out in the form of a stone, of a wall. But it's all HaShem. That's why it's in Levada. That's what the Tzimtzum. Tzimtzum was when Hashem concealed himself inside all this. But this himself is all God. But this is the question. How's it Tzimtzum? We don't know. But that's what the Matrix was. What they wrote. The whole thing was he woke up from a machine and he got all the information. The Chavetz Chaim wrote, by the way, years ago that you know what technology is? From technology, when they made the phone, he said you could learn. He said you could learn about everything about Hashem from technology. And it's true. Why? Phone. I can hear you from the other side of the world. Up there, they hear everything. Television, you can see something, the other side of the world, TV. Do you know what a computer is? First of all, I'll tell you what a computer is. A computer is something exactly the same thing. It's like a person, la'avdil, and you can fill it up with information. But you pull the plug, there's no information. So the more a person, the way we're created is we have a certain attachment with God. The more we do wrong, we become detached. Less information, like the computer. The more it's attached, the more information. The other thing is interesting is, you know it says always that there's something beyond time, up the next world? I thought about something that's compared to that. When you pause a video, how do you pause life? It's a video of something that happened. The answer is, God is showing us there's no time. I hear everything, I see everything, and you know what else? When you come up there, it says there's a screen, you see your whole life. How you doing? Now, point is, so what happened was when Adam Rishon, this is a very, very deep Kabbalistic concept, but when Adam Rishon was created, it says he had a body. But his body, by the way, was not a body that we understand. It was a spiritual body. It was just light that went all the way up to all the worlds. When he did the Avera, his light bursted. It was called Shvirat HaKelim in Kabbalah. There was a breakage in all the Kelim. That means all the sparks flew out, millions of sparks, and that's us. We come from Adam Rishon. Adam Rishon had all our souls in it because it was all his sparks. Now what happens is, when Adam Rishon did all the Averis, all the sparks, and it's not just in our world, there's also sparks in the other worlds, and there's also not just people, there's sparks on places and trees and everything. Dr. Arizal, what's the point of a Jew in this world? The point of a Jew is to go and find these sparks and everything in the physical world and up and raise the level, bring the spark, the ruchnis out of the physical and bring it back to Hashem. Well, hold on. Dr. Nachman, Rebbe Nachman writes in Sichos Haran in Torah Pei Hey. Rebbe Nachman says an unbelievable thing. Rebbe Nachman says there's no such a thing as Hashem taking somebody to. There's no such thing as a person going or seeing or doing anything without the Shemayim they told him to go to this place. Because each person has, according to his soul, he has a certain tikkun that he has to do in these places. That each person, we have to right now be metakin something in this room, certain elements of holiness. We can't see it because we're on the level. But there were tzaddikim. The Arizal used to walk around and he said he used to look at the trees. He saw infinite souls in the trees. Do you understand that? Infinite souls. Because what happens was, it says there's 600,000 souls. The Arizal explains that it's not really 600,000 souls. There were, but each soul, what happened was, it duplicated, and there's now billions of souls. And everybody said they were screaming for tikkunim. And he used to go, and that's the Baal Shem Tov. Tzaddikim used to always go out. Why did tzaddikim always go out on the road? Because this is what Nachman was saying. The tzaddikim have to go out to places from Shemayim and be metakim. You know what it says? What does it say in the morning? Amechem etzadik gover. What's the bracha? Amechem etzadik gover is Hashem taking me, my footsteps. Because all my footsteps is exactly from Hashem. I'm telling Hashem really, Amechem, take me to places where I have to make tikkunim. That's what I want to say in the bracha, Amechem etzadik gover. Now, what's interesting is that the Rav Nachman brings down from the Maharam Mipano, who wrote something, a sefer called Asar Mamaros. He explains about how Hashem created the whole world. He says, after what happens, it says in the pasuk, he says like this. Hold on one second. It says like this. Zot Maram Pano, that if the Jewish nation never did an Avera, if they never did an Avera, what is an Avera? Avera is a Begamin in Emunah. Right? Somebody does an Avera, it's a Begamin in Emunah. Emunah, complete Emunah, is considered like you live in Eretz Yisrael. Because what's Eretz Yisrael? Dr. Nachman, Eretz Yisrael is Emunah. Just like Eretz Yisrael is Emunah, so someone who's completely in his Emunah, even if he's not in Eretz Yisrael, he has a Bechin of Eretz Yisrael. So Dr. Nachman, the Arizal says this, and the Ari Hakadosh says this, that if we didn't do any sins, we wouldn't have to go anywhere. All the sparks would come to us. Even if we don't live in Eretz Yisrael, because we have a Bechin of Emunah, complete Emunah. Zot Merami Pano, Rebbe Nachman brings the reason why Am Yisrael had to go on all those travels, Ela Maseh, right? In Parshas Maseh, it says all the travels, because it says they sinned. Because they sinned, they had to go now and be metakin all the nitzotzes. Ela Maseh is because of all the sins. But if they didn't sin, they would have had right away Amunah, and they had Amunah Hashem, they would have been already in Bechinas Eretz Yisrael. Even before they went into Eretz Yisrael, they don't have to do any of the Masses, they would have went straight into Eretz Yisrael, because they already were Bechinas Eretz Yisrael. And they already were, all the nitzotzes would have came to them, and Mashiach would have came already, and the Asad Lovely and all the Mahabba, everything would have came. What's our job? Our job is not to do that. To be metakin. The problem is that after all the generations, more and more affairs happened, so we have to do more tikkunim. Somebody could ask, will be infinite? The answer is the Rebbe Hashem has a perfect cheshbon, and he promised that he will redeem us, and it will be very soon, B'ezrat Hashem. But I wanted to say, what's interesting is, the derech is very important. Derech is very important. Going on the derech, every time you're going on the bus and that, you should learn, because in these places where you're going, HaShem took you these places to be metakin things. So don't sit there and do nothing. There's a story about the tzaddik, the Chazmil Blim, and one of the tzaddikim came to me, and one of his biggest students, he asked him, I see something, did you learn on the way to me? He said, yeah. He said, I see something. He asked him, which Gemara did you use? He said, I use a small one. He says, because you didn't use a big Gemara, you missed a little bit of the tikkun. What's the point? He said, tzaddikim chot tzayir, but on the derech, because Rebbe Hashem brings us on the derech, because that's why the world was created, to take the physical derech that we're going on and to pull the sparks out. That's what it says. Now, the Chassidus Rim says, by the way, the Chassidus Rim, the Ger Rebbe says that if you ever make cheshbon 25% of your life, a quarter of your life, you're on the way. How much can you be metakin? There's Perish Sulam, the Sulam, Rav Ashlag, who writes in the Zohar, and his Hakdama to his Sefer, he writes, do you know why we're still in Golus? And why we have Mechomes and Yisurim? Because people weren't metakin the chassidus of the Torah. Why the chassidus of the Torah? What is that? What are the secrets of the Torah? If you ever realized where did Rav Shem Bar Yochai get all his secrets? When he wasn't in the basic, in the shul, davening and all that. When he was in the cave, he was on the way. And it also says by the Ramak, all his secrets, he had to go out into Golus to get all the secrets. Why? Because on the way, that's where you do the biggest tikkunim. Where do you get the chassidus of Torah? On the way. When somebody learns on the way, you come to a shir, before the shir, you come there with a sefer already. You take a 3-hour bus ride, we're going to Oman B'ezrat Hashem, you sit on the plane and you sit taking klal and you learn. Because that's our tikkun, that's derech. The Rebbe Hashem is taking on the plane, and on the plane you do tikkun, because there's no such a thing every second we have an chassidus to do. Zok the Rebbe, so that's the Pshat of Rashbi. The Rashbi, Zok the Sulam, that what's the problem? Because we didn't do chassidus Torah. What do you mean we didn't bring chassidus Torah? The Pshat of the Sulam is, according to what I was saying, because who is a person who chassidus Torah who is Bechina the Derech? Problem is lacking Bechinas the Derech. People they're not bringing in the Torah from the Derech, bringing the Takim from the Derech from on the way. Now, what's interesting is, I'll tell you an amazing thing. Now, so we're talking about, so basically we're saying that this whole world is really ruchni, even in the Gashmi, it's all a manifestation of HaShem, and there's sparks that came out of other Rishon, we have to be metakim. I'll tell you an interesting thing that happened in Parshas Kitzitz. It says in Parshas Kitzitz that when a person goes out to war, this is incredible. It says that he falls in love, and he sees a beautiful woman, and he has to do this whole process. The Ari Hakadosh has a beautiful question, famous question. Do you know it says that they didn't take out anybody to battle? In the army of David HaMelech, when he went to, they never took a person who was scared. Who was a person that was scared to fight? You know what the Gemara says in the Medrash? Somebody who used to speak when he put on Tefillin Shayat and Tefillin Shorosh, if he spoke in middle, that affair itself made him afraid. So we're talking about people on huge tzaddikim levels. Frek Ari Chaim, he asked the question, that type of person is going to go to a war for HaShem and fall in love with some goyish woman who looks like a prostitute, half naked, like what? It's a beautiful question. And then he says also, she's beautiful, and then you have to make her ugly. What's going on here? The answer is like this. Dr. Ari Chaim says beautiful. Beautiful, beautiful. Like this. We know we have something called gerim. People convert. Ari Chaim has a question. What makes a person all of a sudden decide to convert to Judaism? It's not an neshama, right? To convert, take on all these mitzvahs. Ari Chaim, there's two mahalachim in this. One of the mahalachim is from the Gra. The Gra says, this is not the mahalach, we'll just say it agav. The Gra says the mahalach is, when HaShem went around for Kabbalah Satayra, when the nation said no, there were people in it, each nation said yes, and those that have been neshamas. But the Rebbe Nachman goes, and the Mizrach Magi goes with this mahalach from Ari Chaim. Ari Chaim says, when the Rebbe Hashem created the world, he created 600,000 souls, but some of the souls got lost, the Sitra Achra swallowed them. And these souls are the souls of the Gerim. And these souls aren't just regular souls, these were the highest souls that the Sitra Achra grabbed onto. Now, how do they get free? How do they get free? When a Jew comes and pulls them out of the Sitra Achra, how does a Jew do that? By being attacking something. Zok Ari Chaim, and this is based on the Rizal also. The Rizal says this. The Rizal says that when a person when this tzaddik goes to war, of course he's not falling in love with a non-Jewish woman because of her beauty or anything. He feels, it says, he desires her. The person desires her. He loves her or this, he desires. He doesn't desire, it says ba, her. It doesn't say the woman ba. What's ba? He's desiring her soul. Her soul is from these souls that the Echet Adorisha. That's what Ari Chaim says. When the person comes and falls in love, he's not falling in love with her. He's falling in love with the soul, because his soul, his tikkun is to pull her out. Lefi, his tikkun, just like where her tikkun is to go and learn on a train station. Zokter Ari Chaim, in the biggest taiva, looks like it's really ruchnius. And that's why he falls. But why is it ugly name? Because you have to make sure that it's the neshama, not the guf. But it's the neshama. Do you understand? That's the beauty of the vart. That's the beauty of the vart. That is kiseitze l'malchama. And you know what I saw? I looked at Oiv Yisrael in the parsha randomly. The Abdurov says the same thing. He says it's known that when you go to kiseitze l'malchama, what is it talking about? It's talking about pulling out the sparks that were falling. These falling sparks. This is what we're saying. This world is it's a world of a manifestation of fallen sparks. So we have to find these sparks, and wherever HaShem takes us to be mavar these sparks. Now like this. So at the end of the day, what was our question? Now I'm getting to what was the question? The question was, how does the guf and the neshama coexist? The answer is, because the guf is also ruchni, just like everything else in this world. Everything is ruchnius. It's just manifestation in the guf. There's no such a thing. What are we saying? The whole thing? The guf, just like a stone, just like anything, it is a manifestation of ruchnius, of pure spirituality. So of course the neshama can coexist with the guf, because the neshama and the guf is really coming from, it's all the same source. It's all, the neshama is completely spiritual. The guf is also, but it's covered by the layers of the tzimtzum, of the concealment of God, and we have to go and take it out. That's the answer, how the guf and the neshama coexist. Now, what's interesting is like this, something incredible. I'll bring you a proof, by the way. Take a donkey. Here's a question, donkey, is it spiritual thing? Probably not, you'd say, right? I'll prove it to you, yes. What does it say? Pepichas ben Yair, famous Gemara. Right? Donkey was sold to a non-Jew from him. He had a donkey. He sold his donkey to a non-Jew, refused to work. Guy comes back and says, my donkey's not used. Donkey doesn't work on Saturdays and Shabbat. He whispered into the donkey, he said, it's okay. Pepichas ben Yair, you're working for a guy now. You see, a chamor, a donkey has spirituality. What do you mean? No matter how big of a tzaddik Pepichas ben Yair, if your donkey is not a spiritual thing, it's a dummy. What is it? Because it's standing by a spiritual person? The answer is because it has a spiritual aspect. Because everything in this world is a manifestation of spirituality. Now, another thing. Also, by the way, in Avis Rav Nosson, in Soif Perek Ches, he writes this Lashon. Fikach Amru Kashem Shat Tzadikim Rishonim Ayu Chasidim. Also, just like the Rishonim, the big tzadikim, the early tzadikim were mamish tzadikim, so to their animals were tzadikim. That's Avis Rav Nosson. What does that mean? They're animals? Because their animals were also they uplifted all the sparks of everything that Hashem sent them. So they brought ruchnis out of everything. So everything was a tzaddik. The Hashem, they brought to ruchnis. Unbelievable, right? Another story. There was a story about a para. Somebody had sold a para to a non-Jew, and hold on. I'm sorry. Pinchas ben Yair is a story about. I apologize. I mixed up the two stories. Pinchas ben Yair is a story that his animal didn't want to eat because there was a suffix. It was from Meiser, or the suffix about chulin. If it was Meiser, or he was able to eat from it. And the Gemara said, Taisis over there says, that even if the animal, even if there was a suffix, he was makbid. You see that an animal is machmer on chulin and Meiser. The story about that, the donkey, is a story that in Sikra Abbasi brings down the story that he sold this, and you know what happened? He sold the cow. The cow didn't want to work on Shabbos. You know what happened? It says beautiful. He said that the guy was Megayer. He couldn't believe it. He said it's obvious. Like you said before, you say the story, they'll be Megayer. He said the guy told the story, he was Megayer right away. He said, how can the Torah not be true? Look at this, the animal doesn't even eat because it has the ruchnius of the Torah, whatever. Now, I'll tell you another thing. By the way, what's interesting is, what does it say by Kayim? Do you know what's interesting? Do you know that really animals, why do animals could hurt people, right? You know, when God created the world, before the Mauritian did the sin, they weren't able to. The nature of an animal is to only eat grass. All animals, even a lion, they won't eat, not humans. He did the chait, and that's what happened. They started grabbing people. I'll bring you a proof. What does it say by Cain? He said, I'm afraid the animals are going to eat me. What did Hashem say? Put a thing on your forehead that says that Tzelem Elokim. What's the point? Because through Averis we lose our Tzelem Elikim, so the animal, what's the difference between a human and grass? It's all the same. But when he sees the Tzelem Elikim, he's freaked out. He won't go near it. Nature, I'm not going near this. It's Tzelem Elikim. What do we see again? Animals. Same thing, animals. They have Ruchnius in them. Everything we're saying, that this whole world's one manifestation of Ruchnius, spirituality. Another thing, Rebbe Nachman writes, when a person does his farthest, why he should do it in the field. Now, we spoke about this why. There's a bunch of reasons why you should do it in the field. One of the reasons is, you know what? Because Rebbe Nachman says his famous song, Da lecha shekol roe roe yesh lechem nigun miuchad mishelo. What's the song? It's based on the Psicha Zaran from Shuli Rand. He's a singer. That each blade of the grass has its own unique song that he sings to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Rebbe Nachman says, when I used to go into the field, I used to hear the grass sing. So Rebbe Nachman says, you should go to the field and do your farthest because they both come together and there's a stronger tefillah. What do you see? The grass also. Grass has ruchnius. You know what I'm saying, boys? Look at this. Look what's going on. It's in ruchnius world. Now, what's interesting is, it says also in the pasuk, Hashemayim esakim k'fay kel. The sky talks the praise of God. See the sky? Ruchni, it's all manifestation of Hashem, everything. Now, also, I brought another raya. Remember, Yaakov Avinu, the stones were arguing where he should put his head. Stones? What does a stone carry, Yaakov Avinu? Just like the Arizal. That even a stone, do you know that there's 5 levels? There's medaber, there's daber, there's speech, that's the highest, that's human beings, chai, which is animal, someach is grass and all that, and domim is a stone. Zok the Arizal, every single thing has a neshama, like we spoke about. Because everything is really has a tikkun, has ruchnius, and if neshama if without neshama, we wouldn't be able to exist. Right? Now, let's get into something we're coming. Chassidus Levinstein, by the way, says, do you know when a person's nifter, Rosh Hashanah, the worms and all that, he says, you know what, when a tzaddik goes in, you know what he feels? He feels the ground giving him a massage. That's what he said. He said the ground gives him a massage because the ground has so much gratitude that a tzaddik is coming to be buried in it. Ground, dirt, ruchni. Now, what's interesting is that even the place we're in, the airspace we're in, has also ruchnius. I'll prove it to you. You know what it says? It says, it says, Hanani ben Tratin says, the famous thing, listen to this. Hanani ben Tratin says, 2 people come together, they're not learning, it's called what? Moishev Leitzin. Let me ask you a question, Moishev Leitzin? By the way, you know who says this? The Zohar also, the Zohar and the Kavayasha, the Sefer Kavayasha, or Musar, and the Gehenim, all that, they both say that even the airspace has spirituality, spiritual sparks. Zukt. What's the pshat on that? I'll tell you the pshat. I'll bring you right. Moishev Leitzin, the place is Leitzin? The people are. The answer is no. Because when 2 people come, they're not talking about torah, the place itself, the ruchni of it gets messed up. Even the place, animals, places, plants, everything like the Rizal says has spirituality. So for sure my guf has spirituality. Now, like this. The question is, like this. So what is my guf and what's my neshama? They're both spiritual, so they could coexist. What's the job of both of them? The answer is like this. The job is, we said in the beginning that the neshama goes after the good and the guf goes after the bad. The answer is it's not true. The guf has a ruchnius in it, that the guf, the neshama, you could bring the neshama could raise the guf into a complete vehicle, vessel of spirituality. Let me tell you an amazing thing. The Ramchal, Derech HaShem says like this. This is what Derech HaShem says, Ramchal. When Adam Rishon did the sin, before he did the sin, what was his job? His job was to do a few things. You know what his job was? He says his job was to use his neshama to what? To elevate his body. He did the sin. We're trying to fix the sin. When Mashiach comes, we're going to be back into the level of Adam Rishon, even higher, but we're still going to have the job until Elam Haba to get our guf also on the level of the neshama. That is the point. So what do we see? What's the neshama for? The neshama, the guf, is to create a bechira, because the guf does go after. But I use my neshama, and I use the guf, and I raise the guf. But what? But the guf also helps the neshama, because how do I do mitzvahs? Through the guf. Now let me tell you an amazing thing, why we need the guf also. When Moshe Rabbeinu went up, the Gemara in Shabbos says, Moshe Rabbeinu went up to Shemayim. I'll show you love this. I know you're going to love this. I'm telling you right now. Moshe Rabbeinu went up to Shemayim. Listen to this, boys. He went up to Shemayim. The Malachim said, what? A basar v'dam, they should get the Torah. So Rebbe Shalom said, grab my Kisei HaKavod and answer them. So what did he say? He said to them, you can't keep the Torah. So listen, this is beautiful. What did he say? He said, they can't keep the Torah, we can. What do you mean we can? We can keep it because we have Bechira, because we're Chitzoni, we have a guf and a neshama. What happened? The Gemara says that Hashem took him into the future and showed him Rabbi Kiva darshaning all the symbols in the Torah. He started saying, what, this is my Torah? So everybody asked a question, not everybody, I mean, somebody told me over his word, and I wanted to tie it in. What do you mean? Moshe Rabbeinu was the biggest honor of his Torah. What's he worried about? What's going on? The answer was, Moshe Rabbeinu said, the reason why we deserve the Torah is not because we can just we can take care of the Torah and the Pnimis and Torah, we can also do the Chitzonius. You Malachim can. He saw Rekiva Darsh in the Pnimis. He said, my answer to the Malachim is gone. My answer's gone. You guys are not there. They're not doing the Chitzonius. So Rebbe Nachman says, no. He only is doing a 3-year Torah. The answer is, he was calming Moshe Rabbeinu, saying the only reason he was able to dash on the Pnimis was only through the Chitzonius. When he saw the beggar of Tzitzis, he was able to see. What does that mean he was able? Because through the Guf, he was able to understand the Neshama part. That's why we need the Guf, and that's why we need Neshama. We need the Guf to understand the Neshama, and we need the Neshama to raise the Guf. Now, you know what's amazing? After Tchias HaMesim, the Baal Tanya says in the Ramchal that you know what this world was made for? Not for the soul. The main part of this world was that the neshama should make the guf go higher than the neshama. That's the biggest chiddush. I couldn't believe it when I saw it. The neshama is going to be less on a lower level. The whole point of the guf is to build a neshama, so the neshama can build the guf, and then the guf gets higher than the neshama. Everything we see is completely what everybody thinks. Everything's the guf is all lust. It's wrong. It's wrong. That's not. In chassidus and Kabbalah, the guf is exactly as important as the neshama, because we need to do the mitzvahs to the guf, and we need the neshama to get raised by the guf, so the neshama could go back and two-way street and raise the guf, and the guf will go higher, and that's the whole point. And that's what other Rishon had to do, raise the guf higher. But he messed up. Why did he mess up? He messed up when he did all the averis. Why did he mess up? He messed up when he did all the sparks. What do we have to do now? We have to go and take all the physicality, food, and all these things, and be metakin it, and fix it, and keep on fixing more and more until the guf and the physicality is fixed. It's on the level, and then it'll even go higher. Now, what's interesting is, we'll end off with an amazing thing. There, Marami Rattenberg, one of the Rishonim says, and it's a Tashbat, Shas Tuv's Tashbat says amazing. It says when a person gives up his life for Kiddush HaShem, like in the Inquisition and the Crusades and all that, they didn't feel any pain when they got killed. This is what he says. This is what he says. You know what he says? He says why? He says because they came to such an emunah, that their emunah was so high that their neshama was metaking the guf to such a level that the guf became a spiritual thing, so they didn't feel pain. When somebody gets sliced open, his neshama feels pain. His neshama is the same thing, nothing. It's because his guf. Why is guf? Because his guf still has a physicality to it. He didn't be metaking. But somebody who's ready to give up his life, Mesiras Nefesh to Rebbe Shalom, he on that second, in 1 second, he did exactly what the whole point of this world is. HaShem, it's all you. I don't care about my life. I'm giving up my life because it's all you. I'm here only for you. Zaktim, that's the whole point. When they got burnt, they didn't feel anything because they did the tachas of this world. Not just that the neshama and the guf come together, that they could coexist. They are needed. They're necessary. They're not a paradox. They're not a contradiction. They're necessary for one for each other for the tikkun of this world. And like Rebbe Nachman said, one of the biggest Breslever tzaddikim from a couple generations ago, he wrote a sefer L'Kutei Burim on it. He wrote that in the next world, the world after, like we said once, that this world, after it fell, and we're going to be talking, it's going to be on a higher level than even before if Adam Rishon didn't do the chait. That's what he says. That's what he says. And that's what we have to do. We have to go, and each place we go, you say another parak Tehillim, we're going to Uman, we have so much time, you have Rosh Hashanah, you have so much tefillas, you're in Eretz Yisrael, you're not taking regents anymore, hopefully you're not hitting the clubs up. Even if you are, you walk out of the club, then you say Tehillim, I don't care what. Anytime you can overcome your Yetzer Hara on the derech, you do it. Because that's what Rebbe Shalom wants, and that's what we're here for. Like I just showed you, this whole world is one manifestation of God, and it's all for one thing, because really the whole world was supposed to be for a couple of hours. Adam Rishon was supposed to be talking. He messed it up. It's a long thing that he didn't do it on. He did it because he thought he was doing the right thing. We could give a whole share based on that, on unbelievable Kabbalah aspects from Zohar and all that, but that's not the point. But now the world is this long, and Hashem has a perfect plan, and we have to continue doing it. And Bezat Hashem, we're mamish right near Mashiach, like I just heard now. I'll end the share of Chaim Kanievsky just said, Rav Lezer Berland. He spoke to his community in Miami, Rav Lezer Berland. He said everybody has to come to Sukkot to greet Mashiach and Eretz Yisrael. Chaim Kanievsky said the same thing to Yad Sarah over here. They said they want to input more buttons, panic buttons in shuls. If there's a problem or anything, he said there's no need anymore because by Sukkot already there's not Mashiach's coming. Shana Rabbah and Rav Shteinman just told a shliach from Panama. He just said to Panama, he said, should I go back? Rav Shteinman said, no, tell everybody to come here already before Sukkot because everybody has to be here before Sukkot. So yes or not, we have to take this to the right places, but we're definitely, we gave a whole shir about Mashiach, you can see on our channel, on Lime Fifth Fire. Bezat Hashem, we're going to go deeper, we're going to do a part 2 after Rosh Hashanah, which we're going to go even deeper into current events and show, and from all the Rishonim and all the Kabbalah. But Bezat Hashem, Mashiach is mamish right here, and let's, if we haven't started, but we have started, because we all have done a lot, And let's do more on the way. And let's still raise our goof higher and higher and higher through our neshama, and our neshama should shine, and it should shine in our goof, and we should be zeichet b'ezrat Hashem to be as good. Meher v'yamin, Mashiach ben David, with Tokas Adin and Rachamim. Amen.